Hello. This video showcases the most efficient leveling process for a physical damage dealing duelist. This includes all of its ascendancies. Among many attack type builds, duelists are one of the most appealing ones, especially for melee enthusiasts. Slayer is a class specialized in quickly killing bosses, staying alive by leeching life from his enemies, or performing exceptionally well in crowded areas full of enemies. Champion is very efficient with armor, evasion, and overall hit damage mitigation due to the fortify, adrenaline, and taunt mechanics. He's also suited to deal physical damage via Impale and can make very good use of auras. Gladiator can utilize block and bleeding mechanics the most efficiently. Although attack skills are very diverse, there are certain ones that are highly efficient for leveling. Splitting steel is the fastest way to get through all 10 acts. It won't require any specific or unique items and it lays the groundwork for virtually any attack build later on with no need for many changes. Due to it being a projectile attack, not a melee one, there will be some caveats to pay attention to which we will mention in due time. You can safely switch to your destined skill during yellow or even red maps around level 80, and at this point, all items should be available for you to wield and wear. During the leveling process, forage items with physical damage modifiers. Your weapon will be especially important here. There are a lot of various physical attack related damage nodes at the bottom of the passive skill tree, right outside Duelist's starting location. It makes leveling very easy. We will introduce both ways in which you can go with the leveling process. By using splitting steel, which we highly recommend, and a melee physical strike attack like bone shatter or heavy strike. You can obviously use other attacks such as cleave, cyclone, or flicker strike if you prefer to do so. Splitting steel can be picked up from Tarkly after killing Hillock during the first minute of the game. This ability consists of two skills, one is used to fire a projectile, and the second one is Call of Steel. You might notice some steel shards around your character. These are consumed after using the attack and can be replenished by casting Call of Steel. Be sure that you always have steel shards, with these your attacks are enhanced. You deal more damage and the projectile is getting split to damage nearby enemies aiming for them automatically, even if you miss the initial hit. That's what makes this skill so good, you don't even have to aim. If you've impaled an enemy, using Call of Steel will damage them, dealing more damage the more times they've been impaled. We recommend using Call of Steel and splitting steel in an altering fashion to always have shards up and ready. Link it first with added fire damage, onslaught, maim, and chance to bleed. Later, switch to brutality, impale, and vicious projectiles support gems. If you really don't want to use splitting steel, you can alternatively pick a melee attack. It would make you slower as hitting with melee attacks require closing the distance between you and the opponent, but it opens some new possibilities for a setup. Keep in mind that splitting steel has a built-in 60% chance to impale on hit, other attacks don't. And it will be needed later to get the required 100% for a noticeable damage bonus. For a strike skill, we recommend Bone Shatter. Alternatively use Cyclone, but it's not a very good idea to start with it as soon as you're able to. Link your strike attack with Ancestral Call, Ruthless, Chance to Bleed, Onslaught, and Maim in Act 1. Later, replace these with melee physical damage, Impale, Multi-Strike, Brutality, and Close Combat or Fortify support gems. Note that some of these cannot be used with Cyclone. Now for the auras and mana reserving skills. Pride increases the physical damage taken by nearby enemies, which is doubled after 4 seconds. It is good only with physical damage. Reserves 50% of the maximum mana. Grace and Determination. Determination grants more armor, while Grace, evasion. These defensive auras are more useful further into the game after the enemies grow too strong to rely on maximum life and resistances alone. In most cases, you will pick Grace or Determination, rarely both at the same time as these auras are expensive. Precision is used for additional accuracy, that is chance to hit. And Critical Strike Chance, which is very useful in the late game. It reserves almost no mana at a low gem level, which makes it a very good addition. During Act 2 you can use Herald of Ash to deal more damage and cause enemies to explode on death. It loses its value after specializing in physical damage and Impale. War Banner increases your accuracy and physical damage taken by nearby enemies. It's good if you need accuracy with an already maxed out Impale chance. Dread Banner is a better banner for the Impale-oriented splitting steel. It increases the efficiency of Impale, accuracy, and chance to impale. Note that by default you can have only one banner. Now for the remaining utility skills. Leap Slam is a great mobility attack that allows you to jump over ledges and rocks, very useful during labyrinth trials. Link it with faster attacks and life tap support if you can. Sniper's Mark is a mark curse that increases the damage received from projectiles, making it great with splitting steel. Link it with Mark on hit support to cast it automatically. Vulnerability is the general purpose curse for physical damage builds, which is also great for bleeding, making it useful at early stages when it's of any substance. Use it instead of Sniper's Mark if you're not using splitting steel. Molten Shell. One of the best guard spells in the game, it prevents incoming damage and grows stronger the more armor you have. Ancestral Protector. This totem simply grants you more attack speed for as long as it stays up. If you're using a melee attack, not splitting steel, you can use Ancestral Warchief Totem 2 for more melee damage, and link them both to the multiple totem support to have both at the same time. Blood Rage drains your life in exchange for Life Leech, Frenzy charges on kill, and attack speed. You might not want to use it as it puts you in a vulnerable position after not hitting anything for too long. You can start with some powerful items even at level 1, but their absence won't impair your performance too much. Attack damage is the core damage source at any stage of the game. Around Act 2 or 3 start to prioritize only physical damage. Unique weapons can be very good, especially the swords listed here. Critical Strike is not important early on, but quickly becomes so as you level up. Tabula Rasa has 6 white and linked sockets, the best body armor for leveling. You can wear it at level 1 and start linking your main damage setup with multiple support gems for a major damage increase. Goldrum Helmet is abundant in elemental resistances, which are very important. This helmet is also available at level 1. The Thrill Steel Helmet grants you an onslaught for more attack and movement speed. You won't need to use Silver Flask or allocate Graceful Assault with it. La Hup of All Ring can be used for increased damage, attributes, resistances, and added physical damage. Praxis reduces the mana cost of skills, which for attacks means cutting the cost in half or making them free. Adrenaline granted by the Death Rush gives you 100% increased damage and 20% movement speed, massively boosting your leveling pace. With Astramentus Amulet, you won't need to worry about getting attributes on your other pieces of gear or skill tree. Red Beak is one of the cheapest and most widely used swords for level 1 attack-based builds. Oni Garashi, a 6-linked sword that can be used from level 1. Best weapon for leveling if you don't mind its price and trite voice lines. Ichimonji is a level 58 sword with great overall stats for a physical attack damage builds, often outclassing the rare ones. The best amulet to use alongside projectile attacks is the Karui Ward. Good with splitting steel. If you're on full life most of the time, for example by avoiding damage, overleeching, or having some energy shield, Duresso Salute is definitely an amulet to consider. String of Servitude Belt can give you a lot of elemental resistances if it has proper implicit, which is the one with elemental resistances. At level 8 you're able to equip Meganerd's Girdle, which is overall a great belt for almost any attack build. At level 41 you can start using Worm's Molt for attributes, resistances, maximum life, and to leech mana and life. Available at level 1, Loctonial Caress Gloves can provide you with attack speed and charges on kill. 7 League Step are the best boots you can wear for the entire campaign. They give a massive bonus to movement speed. Wanderlust. Cheap and effective boots. Available since level 1, they grant a decent amount of movement speed and freeze immunity. There are 3 variants of the Lord of Steel Jewel. and all of them are used to enhance the Call of Steel skill in various ways. You can have only one. We recommend the one with increased use speed so as to not slow you down. Lion's Roar Granite Flask can be used as soon as level 27 and is suitable for most of the endgame builds. It grants more melee physical damage and armor. For your other flasks, keep one life flask to regenerate life, a Quicksilver flask or two for a better movement speed, a Silver flask for the onslaught buff, that is if you even need it, and a Bismuth flask to improve your defenses, more elemental resistances. See if you can upgrade your life flasks every time you enter a new act, as the higher level ones grant more life. To successfully create the passive tree for a build, you have to consider what are the best clusters and keystones for your specific build, choose a few, and make an optimal path to allocate most of them in the least amount of passive skill points spent, while gathering the less potent passives on your way there. Here, we showcase the best nodes for a sword-wielding duelist with a focus on splitting steel or another melee attack. Maximum life, damage, resistances, and other very important stats like attack speed, chance to impale, or accuracy will have to be taken into account. The first notable you will allocate is the Art of the Gladiator. It has all the useful stats like attack speed, accuracy rating, dexterity, and indirect movement speed bonus. Right after that, head for Bravery by spending only 2 points. It increases maximum life, evasion, and armor. If you're using Splitting Steel, head for Fury Bolts. If you're using melee attack, Master of the Arena. The defensive nodes we recommend picking are the ones granting maximum life. That is Thick Skin, Golem's Blood, Constitution, Warrior's Blood, and Heart of the Warrior right next to it. All of these are relatively close to the other great nodes which you will probably allocate as well. Versatility is located near Marauder's starting location, next to Warrior's Blood, and surrounded by other great passives. Its bonuses for accuracy, movement speed, and attributes are certainly desirable. Near Thick Skin notable there are a lot of other useful nodes. Graceful Assault has a chance to grant you an onslaught buff on kill and increases its effect. Life and Mana Leech is a small node that is used to leech life and mana. It might not seem like a lot, but it's usually enough to allow you to carelessly spam your attacks with no need for mana flasks. Evasion and Phasing is a small node right next to Precise Technique Keystone. It is used for the powerful phasing buff. A 10% chance to gain it on kill is enough. Nearly all builds make use of a notable which increases mana reservation efficiency. Here it is Champion of the Cause. You can also pick up the Bannerman notable right next to it if you're using banners. The A-tier passives here will not suit every playstyle, but if you're following a certain route these are great. There are Bloodless and Herbalism notables for even more maximum life. You can pick Merciless or Forceful Skewering if you're short on a 100% chance to impale, it's of use with most melee attacks. If you're using swords, allocate Fatal Blade and Blade of Cunning, and if you're additionally a Splitting Steel user, go for Lethality. Bastion Breaker increases physical damage directly, and by reducing physical damage mitigation of your opponents. B. Tier passives are used in certain situations, that is if you need, for example, more resistances or accuracy. Acuity and Eagle Eye are used for more accuracy rating. Diamond Skin and Sentinel, for elemental resistances. Survivalist grants evasion. Soul of Steel can be used for armor. Brutal Blade is a block-oriented sword notable. Iron Grip Keystone is great if you have a lot of strength and use projectiles. Finesse, Heart of Oak, Primal Spirit, and Ballistic are all clustered near Ranger's starting location which is far from your route, but it's great with Splitting Steel. Now, the Masteries. Early on, the most efficient mastery to gain more maximum life is the plus 50 life from Life Mastery. The second Life Mastery, for the 10% increase, is more potent later on. You will most likely rely only on Life Leech and Flasks, so the penalty of reduced recovery rate is not a big deal. You should head for a specific Impale Mastery if you're using Splitting Steel, as it's a big improvement to your clear speed, it is a must-have. It's the one for increased area of effect and use speed for Call of Steel. A sword mastery for 120% increased critical strike chance with swords and a 20% reduced critical strike multiplier is the cheapest way to get more critical strike chance with swords. It is great despite the penalty. If it is a strike skill you're using, head for the Tribal Fury and its attack mastery to target enemies further away with your strike skills. Great with heavy strike or bone shatter. If you're short on mana while using determination, allocate an armor mastery for increased mana reservation efficiency for determination. You can do the same maneuver with grace and evasion mastery, and if your precision aura reserves too much mana, head for the accuracy mastery and increased mana reservation efficiency for precision. That is all for now. You're now equipped with knowledge on how to level up quickly with a physical damage dealing duelist. You should now be able to reach maps in just a few hours. Stay safe and good luck.